It seems like only yesterday that Jeep was enjoying its heyday, selling its wheels off with the Grand Cherokee as Australia's favourite large SUV. But since then, that fickle four-wheel drive fan base has turned its attention elsewhere. But now, there's this, the new Jeep Compass, a car that couldn't be more different to the model it replaces, and a car that Jeep says is going to help put the 7-slot grille back on the map.
For a start, there's the price. The entry Compass Sport kicks off from $28,850, and that's right in the current segment leader's territory, the Hyundai Tucson. That cash gets you a manual version, while the cheapest auto costs $30,750. There's also a better equipped Longitude and Trailhawk, but let's start with the variant Jeep says will be the volume seller and the Limited, which offers four-wheel drive, select track adjustable driving modes, leather seats, and 18-inch wheels, among other goodies. Under its bonnet, Jeep's 2.4-litre Tiger Shark 4-cylinder petrol engine powers the Compass with 129 kilowatts and 229 newton-meters of torque. There's no turbo, and although grunt off the mark is good, the naturally aspirated engine isn't the most athletic when overtaking or climbing hills. However, the good news is that a second engine option is on offer.
Now this is the Trailhawk, the flagship of the Compass range. But the reason we're in this one for a short while is not because of all those bits that take you further off-road, but because it's got the 2-litre diesel engine as standard. And why does that make so much sense in a car like this? 350 newton meters is why it makes sense. Now, off-road, that makes a big difference. Having that towing capability and grunt to go anywhere is excellent, but it just makes life so much easier day to day in a car like this. Just around town, having that grunt off the mark, not having to thrash that 2.4-litre petrol engine to get any sort of power out of it. This is just effortless. But this is certainly the pick of the engine range in the Compass, and absolutely the one we would go for. So this is the Limited. This is the variant that Jeep says is probably going to do best in Australia, and frankly I can see why. First of all, there is a huge step up in terms of quality over its predecessor. Everything about this cabin is just a huge improvement. I mean, the driving position for a start is excellent. I've got all of my ergonomics, everything I need is to hand. But as a general package, it's a fantastic thing. Other notable things are the 9-speed automatic transmission in this. You can have a manual in the base version. They've also done incredibly well with the chassis setup on this car. The ride quality is really excellent, and it transmits very few bumps and lumps through from the road. On a cruising road like this, it's a very comfortable ride. Everywhere you look, there's examples of good quality materials. This dashboard is covered in a really nice soft touch sort of leather look plastic. And this central screen is a real big bonus as well. It's big, it's easy to see, and the resolution is fantastic. Also, that central main display is complemented by a second all-digital display between the two gauges, and there's way more feel through the steering. The ride is better, and I really can't wait to get this car on some twisty roads and feel what it can do, because I think it's going to be a really involving drive. So we know the Trailhawk is the one with the serious off-road ability, but what if you decided to go off the beaten trail in the Limited? It's still got four-wheel drive and an impressive ground clearance, and if you do hit trails like this, you might be just as surprised as I am. Now, we're trying it over some pretty serious gradients and some really slippery surfaces, and it just keeps surprising me with its ability.
While the Compass weighs in between 1,500 and a little over 1,600 kilograms depending on the variant, heavy for the segment, its lively chassis hides that weight impressively. There's very little body roll in corners, and it takes a heavy hand to make the tyres complain, and while the steering is a little light, it's likely the Compass will spend a majority of its time at more sedate pace, where it's also a pleasure to spend time. In both the Limited and Trailhawk, power is handled by a 9-speed automatic transmission. There are no paddle shifters, and manual gear changes with the gear selector are slow, but the ZF unit has been tuned for smoothness and is best driven in fully automatic mode. On the outside, styling is obviously in line with the Compass's Grand Cherokee bigger sibling. It's a huge improvement over the frumpy previous generation model, and a majority of customers will no doubt be drawn to its likeable aesthetics and tougher persona. Step up to the $44,750 Trailhawk and you'll get a host of extra equipment for the most adventurous owner, including Jeep Active Drive Low 4x4 system with hill descent, raised suspension, underbody skid plates, full-size spare, black bonnet decal, Trailhawk front and rear bumpers with steeper approach and departure angles, and red tow hooks for if you get a little over enthusiastic in the mud. With tons of off-road ability in both the Limited and Trailhawk, but surprising on-road manners, the Compass is fun on and off the beaten track.